another living the dream outdoor property.
Let's take a look at this 333-acre, heavily timbered parcel in Camden County, Missouri. As you can see from an aerial perspective, the entire property is timbered. Timber's going to hold the deer for bedding. Timber's going to keep them big toms happy in the spring as well. Oftentimes, in these heavily timbered parcels, when we only have access down from one corner, we have a great deal of difficulty accessing the property without spooking the local game out of there. However, this property has some features to help run counter to that. When we look at a LiDAR-based application, which gives us a really good feel for what the land looks like topographically, we can see the topography is rolling enough that we still have access to the property. Zooming in, we can look. You can see the road access from the corner here. Road comes up through here, and the road comes all the way up through here. Old timbered part up here, and it continues on to the top. Now, if I pull up a representation of the degree of slope on this property, the purple and pink areas are areas that are 0 to 5 degree slope. And to a deer's eye, to our eye, that's something we can drive a four-wheeler on. We can lay down, the deer can lay down there in bed. We can plant food plots without worries of erosion. And the significant part of it is, when you look at this, there's enough of that with a west wind, when the deer are bedding on the east side of these slopes, we have flat enough areas we can traverse this property and get through without blowing the deer out of there. With an east wind, when the deer are bedding on the west side of these ridges, we simply have to tailor our approach and have another access and exit trail on this side of the property to move from. So very important. Oftentimes we'll have a very steep topography where it comes up to the top and shoots back down the other side, where no matter where we walk, we're visible to deer on both sides of the ridge. That's not the case in this property. Another significant feature of this central ridge, I'm going to call it, of this 333-acre piece is that creates a very predictable line of movement for bucks to cruise during the rut. And when I'm saying that, what I mean is, again, with an east wind, wind's blowing this way, my deer on this ridge, my doe groups are going to be bedded on this side of this ridge. With the west wind, they're going to bed on this side of the ridge. And we have such a long line of travel here. See if I can pull up how long it is. It's it doesn't tell me the whole. Oh, there we go. 1,800 yards I have. So you're looking at, that might be over a mile of travel right there in that ridge. This will be a ridge that those bucks will travel during the rut, 100%, unless we bump those does out of here. So your strategy becomes to make sure when we access this ridge, we respect where the doe family groups want to bed, and we avoid that. If we put food there, we could have food here. We could have food here. We could have food here. We know that with a east wind, the does are bedded over here. We need to approach from this side. It's counterintuitive, but we need to approach from this side and get them in a crosswind. With the west wind, when the does are bedded here, we need to come on this side and get them in a crosswind. So it's a delicate balance. It's a dance when we have this topography like that. But if hunted properly, the deer are highly predictable. And the beauty of an area like this is when we have a plan and we're paying more attention to how the deer like to use that topography than the neighbors do. When the neighbors hunt the deer and chase them off there, they come onto ours and we don't chase them off. And once the deer are on our property, because we're not chasing them off, we're hunting them properly, we're going to have a very good chance at seeing and harvesting those animals. Another very significant feature of this property is when we come up to this north side here, once we get across this river, and I'm going to pull up the shading on the map again so we can see what it looks like, because we have some very significant bedding up in this north part of the property. I'm telling you right now, with a north or a northwest wind, this little flat spot there, that pink spot, where'd she go? This pink spot right here, this whole ridge here is going to house deer. And why? Because up here, it's 1067 feet. Down here, it's 1008. We're already 60 foot lower. When danger approaches from the top, this animal can smell us in the swirling winds, and it can drop down this way or this way and disappear. Conversely, it can watch everything that goes down on the bottom. It can see everything down here. If danger tries approaching from where they can't smell it, This deer can go this way or this way and disappear. And a lot of times the hunter doesn't even know they've been detected in those scenarios. We go back, we got this ridge drops down. Here's a flat spot. Here's a wonderful flat spot I guarantee is going to bed some deer. We can bed some deer down in this pocket where they can drop down this way. We're going to bed some deer over here on the neighbors on this slope. But we have all these places, all these purple and pink spots that are a 0 to 5 degree slope that these whitetails can set up shop. And again, we have a lot of options for chase them during the rut. All this bedding up here with the north wind, we come up here to the head of this ravine and put a stand right there. Bucks aren't going to walk through this. It's too steep for them. We also have this area, bedding, bedding, bedding. We got these 3 areas right here, line of movement. We got to bed up here when the thermals are going uphill or stand here when the thermals are going uphill. We got to stand here when the thermals are going downhill. So this property, even though it only has access down in one corner down here by the road, we'll pull up the road. This is the road access is down here. We have the ability, knowing how the deer like to use the topography with different wind directions, to access this property. We'll save this part during the rut because there's no need to go up there until then. But a few strategically placed food plots on this property, when you can identify food looking at this area as a limiting factor, will really turn this property into a dynamite spot. By putting that food in the right spots where we can actually hunt those food plots, knowing where the deer are bedded and not blowing those deer out of there, we're going to have a chance at doe groups, and we're going to have a chance at some of the biggest bucks in this neighborhood because we're going to respect how they want to use that topography. We're going to be better hunters about it, and we're just going to have better luck because we're going to manufacture that luck with a good deer plan on this property. For more information on this property or other properties like it, contact livingthedreamland.com.